Nithyanandam, everyone! Welcome back to the Kundalini Yogini. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a long time since I have done a live stream, and somebody just the other day was asking me to do one, I think yesterday or the day before. So I was inspired to come back on here and go live with you. I hope that you guys are able to hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me and see me clearly, and I will do my best to make sure that everything's functioning. There's always some tech stuff happening, I swear. So please do keep me posted on that. But today I wanted to share with you guys, before I get into the Q&A, all about why I think it's so important for us to be outside now more than ever. And I was just writing about this on my Instagram, actually, for those of you guys that follow me there, but it was just a really brief summary of my thoughts, and I wanted to kind of go into it a little more here from the lens of Ayurveda as well. So why is it so important for human beings to get outside, to be in nature, to connect to this planet that we live on? I think some of it we really understand through intuition, but I really found it fascinating as I've been studying Ayurveda over the last year and a half, that it is mentioned so frequently within Ayurveda as an essential, a core part of healing the mind, body, and spirit. The reason for this is the concept that we as human beings are made up of the same elements, the same components that the natural world is made out of. When we are in harmony, the natural world is in harmony. When the natural world is in harmony, so are we. There are these very symbiotic principles that are spoken about in Ayurveda. And because we are made up of the same elements that the rocks or the plants or the animals, that everything is made out of, our connection to the natural world is vital because it connects us truly to our own self. And I'm sure maybe some of you guys have experienced this too in your own lives, where you have felt really thrown off or disconnected, or in a lower space or lower emotions, and just getting outside makes such a huge difference. Maybe it's just going for a walk around your neighborhood. Maybe it's going for a hike. Maybe it's swimming in the ocean or in some fresh water. Any of these things are just as important as the other. And why I really felt it was important to bring this up now was actually because I spent the last 2 weeks traveling through the Southwest US and visiting a bunch of national parks with some of my friends. And it really couldn't have come at a better time for me, because I had been feeling just really disconnected from myself and spirituality in some ways, just going through one of those times. And I think it's important to share that, because I think sometimes a lot of people think that you get to a certain point on your spiritual journey and all of a sudden everything is always uphill. Even for me, I'm the first to say you still go through ups and downs, and you go through these darker times and times of more light, and that's just part of the evolution of our consciousness. So anyway, because of everything happening in my own personal life and really just craving to reconnect to nature, I went on this trip with 2 of my friends, and man, I have so much to share from it, from things that I experienced and everything that it brought me and the insight that it gave me. But ultimately, I wanted to share that nature is so extremely healing, and it couldn't be, it's so underrated how we speak about it. I think at some level we know it's good for us to go outside, but truly, I'm telling you guys, you can't just eat healthy, you can't just do yoga, you can't just meditate. Being connected to the natural world, the environment and ecosystems that we live in, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what country you live in, is so key to our connection into our own self, which is ultimately a connection to the divine, to God, to Paramashiva, whatever that you want to call that energy, that higher consciousness that resides in all of us. Being in nature has the power to bring a lot of stillness to the mind, especially. The hyperactive mind is extremely triggered by the city life, the life of society that we currently live in, being constantly stimulated by visuals, by sounds, by stimulus, by touch. And so when we are able to withdraw the senses, which is actually one limb of yoga in itself, pratyahara, is the withdrawal of the senses. And what this really means is giving your senses a break. And the benefits of this are multifold, but most importantly, what happens is when we withdraw stimulus from the senses, our thoughts, the chatter of our mind, simmers down. It starts to calm, it starts to be quiet and be in silence, just like the world around us. That's why it's so important to take time to be immersed outdoors. Even if it's just for, 15 minutes a day, or maybe you can also take a trip over the weekend and get yourself out hiking or go to a mountain, go to the ocean near you, whatever that you can do. And sorry about that. I just wanted to mention that it really doesn't matter where you're from, I know, of course, I definitely feel so privileged to be in the US and be able to see the things that I did. It really gave me more appreciation and gratitude for my country, but no matter where you are, there is beauty around you, and ultimately, nature as the divine mother is waiting to just hold you in her embrace, help heal you, help uplift you, and bring you so much inner peace and healing. It really is like a sanctuary for human beings. So I hope that, especially in this time, of course, be safe, take precautions, and, make sure that you're not around a ton of people, but get yourself outside, let yourself breathe fresh air, let yourself connect to the sounds of nature, the birds, the trees, the river flowing, whatever that it might be. At nighttime, looking up at the stars or the moon, and just reconnect into your own self that way. It's such a healing practice. So that's kind of what I wanted to go on about this morning. Now, I would love to take some of your guys' questions. So please ask away. I'm going to be here for the Q&A for the next bit. So please send me your questions and I would love to answer. All right, I'm going to look over here on my laptop for your questions. Hello, nice. Thank you guys for joining me. No problem, Paul. Watch whenever you feel like it. And Nithyanandam, Rahul, I understand. Maybe you can just sit, by a window and gaze out at something, or you can hopefully at least go in your own yard or around your own block. I hope that you guys can do that. I feel for you if you can't. I'm very sorry if you have those restrictions. But there's still other ways, even if you can do a meditation with nature sounds indoors. I mean, that's the best you can do for now, at least. Proton Void is asking, what are the meanings of colors in Ayurveda? Great question. So color therapy has actually been a part of Ayurveda for thousands of years. It's been used along with many other subtle therapies such as aromatherapy and mantra and gemstone therapy as well. So color therapy relates to the doshas in Ayurveda. So if you're not totally familiar with the doshas, check out my video on that because it's a whole video in itself. But basically, we have the doshas made up of the 5 elements. Vata, for example, is air and space energy. It is a very cool dosha in nature. It's very cold. So to balance something like Vata, somebody who's a Vata type body or personality, you can use warming colors, such as my background, right? Reds, oranges, yellows, golds. And by that, we balance the qualities of the dosha. And so similarly, if you were trying to balance Pitta, which is like a fiery, hot energy, we use cooling colors like blues and greens and whites to cool down the hot nature of Pitta. And there's also many different other ways to utilize color therapy. So we use it with the clothes that we wear, the items around our house, the walls in our house, the colors that we surround ourselves with in our living space. Also the things that we look at on a daily basis. So all of those things can be used as color therapy. I hope that was a okay little summary there. Rahul, how do I heal at home? So, you have every resource and tool you need to heal at home, actually. That's the beautiful part about what we're experiencing in the world right now. As my guru keeps sharing, it's actually the ultimate blessing for all of us to be stuck inside with our own selves because we have no excuse. We have so much time to devote now to meditating, to journaling, to doing, internal work and completion processes, to doing a lot of yoga. So all of those tools are at your disposal to start going inward and going deeper inside. Forward Autumn, I've been craving outside lately. I'm truly my happiest when outside in nature in the woods, walking down a river, gazing at the sky. I completely feel you, my friend. I feel the exact same way. Or if when I'm in water, I also feel so connected when I'm immersed in water, swimming in the ocean, swimming in a river, something like that. Jamil was asking thoughts on jealousy in long-term relationships. So jealousy ultimately is something which we have to target inside our own self. There's no situation and no perfect person that's ever going to come along that makes you, lose that feeling without you doing the work. So I would just say it's something which you need to really look inward. I would advise doing the completion process on this, and I can add the link after I go off live for the completion process. Instructions here on YouTube for free, but it's a really beautiful process where you kind of go through past events in your life, whether from your childhood or from earlier in your life, that have made you have those insecurities, those beliefs, that mistrust on others. And by going back and healing that, you can heal that feeling inside of you and stop it from arising. Okay, how do you raise Kundalini energy? Jimmy is asking. So Kundalini energy can be raised many different ways, but primarily I would say the entire system which was created for that is yoga, is authentic yoga. And so I would love for you to check out Nithyanandam yoga page. There's lots of amazing practices on there, kriyas and yoga sequences, as well as asana or postures, which you can use to actually raise your Kundalini. But ultimately, the easiest way to raise it and the most effective is initiation through an enlightened being, an enlightened master. But yoga can be used to strengthen the nervous system, the body, the physiology to hold higher states of Kundalini. Okay. Tathagata, I have been following over 5 to 6 months now. We're the same age, but you have achieved so much in your life, being astutely informed about the Psalm of Life. No, I really have not. Don't compare yourself to me or to anybody else, because ultimately we are all experiencing exactly what we need to for our own conscious growth, right? And yeah, maybe my soul has chose to experience a ton of crazy stuff in early life, but that doesn't matter. We're all on a completely different timeline, and ultimately time is irrelevant also. So we're all heading to the same destination. But thank you, I appreciate it. I have attended a session last year at Bengaluru and really felt myself there. Keep inspiring. That's awesome. I'm so glad you got to go. Angel said, thank you, sister. Shaman needs a reminder of that. So the Cyber Lore is asking, how do you deal with aggressive sounds like dogs barking when you go outside? This stresses me out, so I have to go back inside right away. Funny that you bring that up. Actually, I was working with one of my clients a few weeks ago in a session that we were doing in a consultation, and he was talking about how he loves doing walking meditation and had a similar experience where when he would go to the park, sometimes he'd have a dog be aggressive towards him, and it would totally ruin his meditation. And we ended up having this really awesome philosophical conversation where I was kind of just sparking some, inquiry in him of asking about why he was allowing that external small happening to disturb his space of meditation, but ultimately also how much of a blessing it is, because all that is life testing your will persistence. We don't get anywhere, we don't grow without being tested. It's just the law of life. When we're comfortable, growth does not happen. And so, I think you should see it as a beautiful opportunity from life to recreate a reaction, not react the same way you've reacted your whole life. Whether that triggers, there's some fear, whether there's some anxiety in that, I think it's extremely powerful to face it head on, because how else can we move through those kind of emotions or release them? So just bring presence and awareness into what you're feeling, but don't have the resistance to run away from it. Sit in that feeling. That in itself is a really powerful meditation. Okay. Apologies if I leave. I'm a bit busy. No problem. And enjoy your life. Enjoy your day, my friend. I'm happy to hear that you have exciting things going on. No problem. Thank you so much for tuning in. Daenerys Targaryen. Nice name. I love it. So I've always wanted to ask this. Can you explain how karma actually exists? It seems that you can consider any bad thing that happens to something as karma for something bad they did. It just seems very subjective and doesn't seem to be a law. Yeah, great point. I think a lot of people are confused initially by the concept of karma because a lot of times it's misexplained and misunderstood in the West. So how I have learned about karma through the systems of yoga and Ayurveda and ultimately from my guru living in India really brought me a lot of clarity, and I'll share that karma is not this idea of like punishment for a bad deed or a good deed. It's not based in morality, and it's not based in, when, oh, karma's gonna get her. I hate when people say that because that's really not the space by which we're supposed to be understanding it or operating. Karma being a law, a cosmic law, what it means is that it's almost that like very similar to the law of physics. Every action has a reaction. Think about it exactly like that. It's not that something or someone is trying to punish us for bad deeds or reward us for good deeds. It's that we receive what we put out. So if I'm giving a lot of gratitude, I'm going to be channeling in more positive experiences to be happening. If I'm putting out a lot of anger, I'm naturally going to run into more angry people. If I'm, expressing violence towards an animal or towards another human being or to myself, I'm going to start seeing more and more violence being shown back to me. It's like the world is a mirror. The world is our reflection. And so whatever we put out, we receive. I hope that kind of makes sense. And that is one component of karma. But you can, from a larger perspective, we also explain it from happening across a soul's journey, right? So what that means is the same law applies body to body. So this isn't my first life. This isn't your first life. And like that, we have chosen a set of circumstances to teach us the lessons we needed to learn. It's not about, it's never from like a cynical or sinister point of view. It's that it's an extremely beautiful mystical process, the cycle of birth and death. And, my higher self or that God consciousness, after I left my last body, my last form, knew that in order for me to learn particular lessons maybe I didn't learn last time, I had to have this family. I had to go through these types of struggles. I had to have, this location where I was born to learn those things. And that applies to all souls. So I hope that gives a little bit of clarity. Okay, I have the same problem when dogs are aggressive, caused by some conscious fear. Yeah, I think it probably relates to childhood incidents. I used to actually be scared of dogs, believe it or not, because now I'm like the most extreme animal lover ever. But when I was little, I had a small dog attack me when I was like 5. And I remember for probably 5 years or so until I was about 10, I was very scared of dogs. And so it's about looking back at those instances and not letting them have power over our lives anymore. It takes time, it takes work. You give yourself compassion, but don't also be powerless to that fear and let it take over your life. Hi, Dad. My dad's on here, guys. How do you find mantras that give words so I can try to participate more? I'll send you some stuff, Dad. But yeah, basically, if you look on YouTube, for anyone else wondering, there are a lot of times they'll give you the mantra and give you the English translation. So just search around and there's a lot of videos out there. Do come back to India soon. Would love to hear more from you over a session. Yes, I hope to be back soon once everybody is safe and everything is clear. India is my second home, as you guys know, so I will always be coming back there. Cool man, Luke. Thank you for the enrichment. Thanks, Luke. Nithyanandam. Very true. I receive back reflections of my inner emotions or inner thoughts. It's pretty cool to learn from. Yeah, exactly. It is. And I think that's a beautiful perspective, very wise perspective that you have. Truly, I feel that the hardest times of life, the most times we suffer, is when we're in the opposite space of that, when we're in complete resistance to what we're seeing and experiencing. And that's what causes the ultimate pain. It's not actually the harm that we're experiencing, but the complete resistance and withdrawal from it. So when we can actually see it as an opportunity to grow and learn, it changes everything. It really does. Because I saw, there's some famous cheesy quote, but it's accurate, that happiness doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you've decided to look beyond the imperfections. Just like that, as this in the system of Buddhism, that's a huge component, right? Is acknowledging that there is some form of suffering in everything, in all of life. But when we acknowledge it, the suffering actually doesn't exist anymore. And so it's all about that acceptance. Hi, Prasiddha. I've been trying to get kum for the third eye, but can't find the recipe because I want to use it for astral meditation. Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. I don't know where you live, but it probably would be on Amazon. If not, there's lots of local Indian stores in certain countries that you can find it. Otherwise, if those aren't options, I believe there are some recipes on YouTube that I will try to find for you. Can you message me on Facebook or Instagram, and then I will send it to you so I remember. No problem. Thank you for asking that question. It was a great question. I remember experiencing the bullying that I showed towards my own pets from a coworker, and until I changed my ways of action to my pets, my coworker changed. It's pretty cool. That's a very cool example. Thank you for sharing that. What is the best way to send positive vibes to others? The cool man Luke is asking. So I would say the best way you can do that, there's actually a type of meditation. I think it's called meta meditation. And I was just talking about this in one of my classes. But basically, it's a really beautiful process where you sit in a state of meditation and you go person by person. First, you start with yourself and you send, just complete love, forgiveness, and acceptance to your own self. Then you send it to two people that you love, that you really connect with, that you really vibe with. And then you send it to two people that are neutral to you. Like, you could go either way. You don't really care about them as much. And then you send it to two people that you really struggle with, that you might actually have disagreements with or some type of resentment or hatred towards. And it's just a really beautiful process of having that, equal love for all beings, no matter how we feel. And I think it's a really beautiful process to move us into higher states of love and higher states of consciousness. And I think that's a really great way to send, positive energy to people in our lives, whether we, really respect them or whether we don't. Okay. Something is up this year. Blissful Athlete is on here. He's asking, what should I eat for optimal health? Should everyone follow the same diet? So yes, this completely depends on your prakriti, which means your constitution as per Ayurveda. This is different for every single person, and that's the beautiful part about it. There is not one optimal diet for all human beings. This is what I love about Ayurveda. It's so individualized and really empowering because of that. So certain people, for example, my body type, because I have a lot of Vata dosha, eating raw leafy greens like salads is actually really not good for me, really unhealthy and bad for my digestion. Whereas somebody who is a Pitta person might be able to eat leafy greens and be okay. So it's a really fascinating system, and if you guys want to know more about your own, you can definitely reach out to me. I am open for booking if you didn't know, so if you would like an Ayurvedic consultation, you can go to the link in my bio, in the description, of the video, and it has the link down there too. Okay, do you have any advice on how I can attract good people in my life? It seems that if I am not the one to start the conversation will never happen. I just feel very disconnected from this world, like my thoughts don't matter, that I do not have thoughts at all because nothing came from my thoughts. Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. I felt that way for most of my life growing up, actually. Very out of place in the world, and that I always had to put myself out there. I think ultimately a lot of it comes from our own internalized beliefs. And this goes really, really deep. Again, I would probably refer you back to doing the completion process that I spoke about a few minutes ago. But also, I think it's about what we want to attract and the space we're holding for what we are going to attract in our lives. I remember when I was in college and university, I was feeling like, how am I going to meet people that I really resonate with. I'm so out there. I'm so, different than everybody else here. I'm really spiritual. I'm into all these things that people are like, what? This girl's crazy. How am I going to find people? And I realized that I had this belief that it was pretty like difficult for me to find spiritual friends. And just by me having that awareness that I actually believe that, I just decided I'm going to convince myself, I'm going to tell myself that it's easy for me. I'm going to find people that are like me, that are spiritual, that are drawn to the same things as me, and they're going to be drawn to me. And I kept like repeating that and believing it and saying that to myself. And sure enough, I'm not even kidding, that semester, I had the most beautiful experience of my college time where in so many of my classes, people would just come up to me and be like, what is that you're wearing? Why do you wear that? What do you believe? And then they got super intrigued and we would have some engaging conversation and we would end up becoming really good friends. And then some of my roommates started to really be like, could you tell me about meditation? I want to start doing it. And I started finding people that were going to different types of social events like meditations or ecstatic dance and all this kind of stuff. And just like that, there's a ripple effect. So really look at your internalized beliefs and start to purposefully manifest what you want, write it down, repeat it, and put that energy out in the world. How to attract good people in life. So Dan was asking the same thing. Yes, your inner world absolutely becomes your outer world. I think that it's funny that you guys all both brought that up too. Clearly we are all in oneness, because I almost did this live stream on that topic. I was literally going to do feeling alone on the spiritual path and how you can change that, how you can form a community. I'm going to make a video about it because I realized I didn't want to do it on live because I want it to be really comprehensive. So I'm going to do a video very soon about that. So stay tuned. I'll give you some more tools and tips that worked for me on how you can change that experience from feeling really alone and lonely on the path to creating a really beautiful community around you. So I will be making a video about that soon. All right, guys. Any last questions before I sign off? Please let me know, because I'm about to sign off. I really appreciate you guys coming on here and joining in, and you had some really beautiful, insightful questions. So I appreciate your guys' reflection back to me, and I hope that you guys have a beautiful rest of your week until the next video. I'm really glad it was helpful, and I understand the process of changing our beliefs. It goes deep, but when you really put in the work consistently, you can start to rewrite them, for sure. I hope to connect deeper with some of you guys, and definitely feel free to message me. Those of you that I told to, please remind me if I was supposed to send something to you. And if you are looking for anything deeper into helping improve your health, your spiritual well-being, or mental health, I am so happy and able to connect with you via consultations now. So I do consultation. Definitely check that out in the description if you're interested. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy and safe, and get outside, get some fresh air. Nithyanandam, everyone.